Hello and welcome to Mac Sourcing. My name is Bhaumik Dave and this is in continuation to my previous video. In my previous video, I have explained you how to solve an FEA problem using a spreadsheet. I also mentioned that I will be suggesting some of the open source or free FEA tool available. So before I mention them, let me explain you what is open source and what are the pros and cons of using an open source FEA tool. Basically, open source is a community of developers who work to create software tools which are freely available. They are majorly based on Ubuntu or Linux, but also have Windows options. So, suppose somebody is developing version 2 in Ubuntu, then version 1 must be there for Windows. Yeah, there is a lag time in Windows tool development. But for finite element analysis, there are a few open source or free tools available. There are a few I can name, such as Almer and Codaster. There is a pre-processing tool also available like Salome Mecha. But before we do that, before I share where you can get them from, let's discuss about the pros and cons they have. I'll get started with the pros first for open source FEA. First thing is learning. This is one of my favorite part and one of the very strong reason in the favor of open source FEA software. See, open source software, they are not a click and run kind of tool, so that it's not an add-on to your CAD. So you have to learn the from the very basic perspective. You need to keep updating and learning yourself, so that your data is always refreshed as far as code knowledge is concerned. That is the first benefit. uh, okay, so first benefit would be I just missed to put or show in my video that will be learning, because you'll be seeing all the summary so that you don't miss out, or you don't whenever you want to recall, you can go to that. Second one is code flexibility. So if you know and wish to modify the code, you can do that with open source FEA tool. You cannot do this with a commercial tool. So there is a policy called GPL, which is a general purpose license, which allows you to modify the code and also to distribute the code if you wish. And under GPL, it you are not required. It's not must for you to share your updated code within the public domain. But there is another version of this policy. It is called LGPL, which is lesser general purpose code or licensing. Under this, if you update or add something to your code or tool, say you are defining a GUI for some task or automating certain task, you cannot keep it private. You have to release it to the public domain. So, yeah, that is the second benefit, flexibility. The third benefit is free. Yeah, open source softwares. Say, I was speaking open form. That is CFD part. Huh? So open source softwares, FEA or CFD, they are free to use. See, for many companies, simulation requirements are not that frequent. You get some 2 to 3 requirement for a year, and for this reason, while there is a question of investing in terms of cost, these companies hesitate, and a lot of work is getting done by outsourcing them, or by by hiring a consultant. So they cannot afford a commercial software from a viability of investment return. But with open source FEA, you have to invest time. It's not money. You have to invest time of your resource, or you can also take help of some consultants to train your existing staff, existing design engineers. But it has to be from the basics. It cannot be just the software oriented. That way you cannot learn these softwares. And there is a reason why you cannot do that. So that will be a part of cons. So before you move and you before you decide that they are free available software, so let's use them, let's also go through the cons that these tools have. So first and foremost is they're unpopular. See, open source FEA softwares are unpopular in India or across the globe because one of the reason is that commercial counterpart, they are so strong in their marketing branding, and of course they are good as far as automation of certain tasks are concerned. So uh, just an example, just to give you an example, if somebody says that he's working with a tool named Salome Mecha or Codester, there are greater chances that you will go to the web and type in what is Salome Mecha, what is Codester, because they are not popular. So that is the first thing. And since they are unpopular, you don't get manpower who are trained on them, because if they are popular, even the industry uh, professional also will start looking at them, or even the students, they will demand, and then they will be a part of curriculum. So right now they are unpopular. The second one is lack of automation. See, while in commercial FEA tool, you have the luxury of automating certain tasks such as contact detection, availability of material library. See, in open source, you are expected to do these tasks on yourself. These are all manual tasks, or either you have to define a tool by yourself. So you have to know a bit of programming. Majorly, these tools are based on Python. So Python you can learn quickly, easily. Yeah, so yeah. Another thing is they don't have as sophisticated GUI, graphical user interface, as the commercial softwares. Commercial softwares GUI are nice to look and easy to use. If you sit on them, if you work on them for say a day or two, you'll be able to learn what are the tasks and what are the command through the menu itself. With open source FEA tools, they don't have that. So you have to spend a lot of time to learn them. There is a learning curve. The third one, high time cost. See, for FEA, pre-processing or preparing the model, meshing, applying materials, it takes a good amount of time. And major commercial FEA softwares, they are making sure that the user spends as less time on these tasks as possible. So for that, they have developed a lot of automation tools, and they are reducing those times in terms of pre-processing the task. See, when compared to the cost of time investment, the commercial FEA tools have an edge over the open source FEA tools. So that was all as far as the pros and cons are concerned, and you can also view them on your left side. The pros are there I mentioned, and your right side the cons are mentioned. These pros and cons are of open source FEA tool. So I believe that this video was able to explain you what are the pros cons of open source FEA. And my personal favorite in open source FEA tool is Salome Mecha. uh, Again, this tool, I limit myself up to frequency response, thermal, those kind of simulations. I have not seen or tried any multi-physics part, but I believe Elmer has that capability that you can do certain multi-physics task. So Salome Mecha is a pre-processor wherein you can import and edit the geometry You can also define certain tasks. You can also create an input code which can go to your solver, which is Codeaster. I request you to like and share this video within your network so that it can benefit to a larger connection group, and it can also help the community to learn about these tools. You can also subscribe to this channel for the notification regarding the future videos. Thank you. Have a nice day ahead.